Okay, we're now recording. All right. So on our little calendar, here we are now. So finish up the rest of 11.2. As I said, then there'll be a question and answer session. And when that stops, I'll give you the quiz. And next Tuesday is the next test. Okay, so a reminder for the way the tests work. I'll let you start off with a question and answer period on Tuesday. So if you have any lingering questions, you can bring it up. So I'll let you go until what, 5 o'clock. But if there aren't any questions, we can start right away at 4:40. And the reason why I say 5 o'clock is I promise you in the syllabus 50 minutes. So 5:05 to 5:55 roughly. Okay, you're allowed one cheat sheet, piece of paper like this, front and back, any formulas you want, and a calculator. But after that, no books, no notes, no people, no internet, no computer, no anything like that to help you. When it's time to start, I'll project the exam just like this, but I also send it through Canvas announcements because that might be better for some of you. Then you have your camera on during the whole time with a true background, natural background, of course. And keep yourself muted. If you have a question, just put it in the chat. If you finish early, you can leave early. Then we'll stop at our usual stopping time, which is what, 5:55. So I'll close the Zoom session. You have until 6 o'clock to submit the exam and until 6:30 to turn in the homework. But I'll take the homework as soon as class ends now. When we finish class today, if you already have the homework, you can submit it. So you can submit it anytime between end of class and what did we say, half an hour after class on next Tuesday. So that would be what, 6:30 on Tuesday. Okay. And then after that, the game plan is pretty much, there's only 4 sections left, 12.1, 12.2, 12.3, 13.2. Okay, I'm not going to write it quite yet in case something quote unquote goes wrong, but I hope nothing goes wrong, but we'll see how it goes. But if everything works according to plan, then again, I'll push everything back up one day. Okay, so exam is next Tuesday. Okay, any quick questions about that? Let me check the chat on that. Does anybody have any questions there? Right. Okay, I think we're caught up. All right, so I will knock off the remaining problems that I didn't do last time. And hopefully it should not take too long. Okay, and think of any questions you might want to have in preparation for the test. Okay, so reminder, the homework you're supposed to turn in is all this, 70% homework requirement. You must turn in at least 70% of the homework. Don't worry about you have a different version of the book than I do. It doesn't really matter. You're still learning the material. Math is math. So if you have a different version of the text, that's fine. Submit all this homework. And how do I study? You study all of this stuff. How many questions? I usually give about 10 questions. So looks like what, 1 question from each section perhaps, and 4 others is a likely way to do it. Of course, some sections, overlap, no question about it. All right, so last time I think I got up to problem 20, so 22. All right, so 22, find a derivative of y equals 4 e to the x cubed minus 4 e to the x cubed, like that. And a quick reminder, what's the difference between this and this? Here you multiply the 2. So x times 3 is 3x. So don't confuse it with this. Okay, they're not the same. This is e to the x cubed. Right, so in each case, you have to do the chain rule. So y prime is 4 e to the x, e to the 3x times 3. Where did the times 3 come from? It's the derivative of 3x. Same thing here. Minus 4 e to the x cubed. The derivative is minus 4 e to the x cubed. Then by the chain rule times the derivative of x cubed, which is 3x squared. Okay, then just some simple cleanup. 4 times 3 is 12. So 12 e to the 3x and 12x squared e to the x cubed. So that's my final answer for that one. Okay. All right, 24. Y equals ln e to the 2x plus 1. Okay, and I should hasten to add that plus 1 fouls things up where you can't simplify. Okay, so a little bit of a timeout. if you didn't have that plus one, right? If it looked like this, ln e cancel out, then you just have the 2x. However, once you put the plus one, you can't do anything with it. So just take it with the chain rule. All right, so how do you differentiate ln of something? 1 over that. So 1 over e to the 2x plus 1 times the derivative of the inside function. So what's the derivative of e to the 2x plus 1? Well, the derivative of 1 is 0, so forget about it. Derivative of e to the 2x, e to the 2x times 2 by the chain rule. And again, this is very typical of what happens when you have an ln situation. You just multiply by the 1, but of course, when you multiply by 1, you just kind of slide that over. So here's my final answer, 2 e to the 2x over e to the 2x plus 1. Okay, and a quick reminder, no, you cannot cancel these out because of the plus 1. Remember, once you add or subtract something, you can't cancel out. If you didn't have that plus 1, if it looked like this, then yes, you can cancel the e to the 2x, e to the 2x, because you're not adding or subtracting anything. But like this, you're stuck, just leave it alone. Okay, so a nice thing about this one is it includes an ln and an e. Nice review for the test next Tuesday. So derivative of ln of something is 1 over that something. There it is. And then times the derivative of that something, which involves an exponential. So you got a review of ln and e here. Okay. Okay, 26. Product group. Y equals e to the 2x squared natural log of 4x. So product group, fg prime plus gf prime. And by the way, you say, I forgot the product group. If you want to put it back on this next cheat sheet, you may. And if you want to put the quotient rule back on this next cheat sheet, you may. If you can fit it all, that's fine. Okay, so it goes first function times the derivative of the second plus the second function times the derivative of the first. Okay, so here we go. First function, e to the 2x squared, times the derivative of the second. So how do I differentiate ln 4x? And a reminder, when I say differentiate, that means derivative. Yes, there's an English word differentiate, but in calculus, it means to take a derivative. So how do I differentiate natural log of 4x? You go 1 over 4x, and then by the chain rule times the derivative of 4x, which is 4. And very conveniently, that 4 cancels that 4. Right, so in red, I just crossed them out. Okay, now plus gf prime, right? So plus the second function, natural log of 4x, times the derivative of the first. So what's the derivative of e to the 2x squared? E to the 2x squared times 4x, which is the derivative of 2x squared. So this is a lot of stuff in it. You have to know the derivative of e to something, derivative of ln, there's a product rule and a chain rule, all within the same problem. Okay. All right, and then just a little bit of cleanup. These 4's cancel out. So I write it as e to the 2x squared divided by x. X is on the bottom, right? Plus 4x e to the 2x squared ln 4x. Okay, so that's it. And a reminder, ln stands for natural log or log natural. Okay, natural log. ln. Right. 28. Quotient rule. Here's the quotient rule. You say, I forgot the quotient rule. Put it on your next cheat sheet. We had it in the last test, but math is cumulative, right? Everything you learn builds you up for the next time. So just because we passed a section on a quotient rule doesn't mean you get to forget it. It comes up again. So here's the quotient rule again. So do you need to put it on your next cheat sheet? Go ahead. F over g prime, gf prime minus fg prime divided by g squared. In other words, the bottom times the derivative of the top minus the other way around, top times the derivative of the bottom all over the denominator squared. Okay, so here we go. Bottom, 1 plus e to 2x times the derivative of the numerator, but the derivative of x is just 1. So you don't even have to write it if you don't want to. Minus the numerator, x, times the derivative of the denominator. So what's the derivative of the bottom? The derivative of 1 is 0, so forget about it. Derivative of e to the 2x is e to the 2x times 2 by the chain rule, right? That 2x, that exponent is like the inside function, so to speak. Okay, all over the square of the denominator. So 1 plus e to the 2x quantity squared. Okay, and a quick reminder, you cannot cancel this g with this g. It's always going to be there for the quotient rule, but you're not allowed to. So look over here. You might say, oh, 1 plus e to the 2x, can it cancel 1 plus e to the 2x? No, because there's this minus sign here. Okay, but again, if you did not have that minus sign, or let's pretend this thing comes out to be 0, right? Then you can cancel. Okay, so that minus sign prevents you from canceling here. So all I'm going to do is clean up the top a little. So 1 times this is just this, right? So 1 plus e to the 2x, and then I distributed here minus 2x e to the 2x all over 1 plus e to the 2x quantity squared. And that's pretty much about it. Okay. All right, 30 is pretty bad. E to the x minus e to the negative x over e to the x plus e to the negative x. It's real easy to get confused because you have so many minuses all over the place. And no, this is not equal to 1. You know, so you can't just change this to like a plus and say, oh, it's 1. You're not allowed to do that. Okay, a quick timeout before I go on. What's the derivative of e to the negative x? E to the negative x times negative 1 by the chain rule. So it'll be negative e to negative x. Okay, keep that in mind. All right, so here we go. Denominator, copy the denominator, e to the x plus e to the negative x, times the derivative of the numerator, e to the x plus e to the negative x, right? Derivative of e to the x is itself. Derivative of e to the negative x is negative e to the negative x. So there's a minus minus, so it becomes a plus. Minus the other way around. Top, e to the x minus e to the negative x, times the derivative of the bottom, e to the x minus e to the negative x. Same game. Derivative of e to the x is itself, but the derivative of e to the negative x is negative e to the negative x. All over the square of the denominator, e to the x plus e to the negative x, quantity squared. Okay. Now the top looks pretty weird, but you may notice that's the same as that, right? That in parentheses equals that. So it's e to the x plus e to the negative x quantity squared. Minus, that's the same as that, right? So I can think of that as a square. E to the x minus e to the negative x quantity squared. Okay, so one more time. That's the same as that, right as a square. That's the same as that, right as a square. So essentially, I have a squared minus b squared. And we have a formula for a squared minus b squared, don't we? A squared minus b squared is a plus b, a minus b. Okay, let's sneak that in over here. A squared minus b squared is a plus b, a minus b. Okay, so it's that plus that. It's going to look messy, but it actually cleans up very nicely, as we'll see. All right, so how do I do a plus b? E to the x plus e to the negative x plus e to the x minus e to the negative x. That's the a plus b. Now, a minus b. E to the x plus e to the negative x minus parentheses e to the x minus e to the negative x. And I leave that alone. Now, that cancels that, right? E to the x plus e to the x is 2e to the x. If I combine these, e to the x cancels out. That's an e to the x minus e to the x. This is e to the negative x minus a minus e to the negative x. E to the negative x Minus minus is plus. That means I have 2 e to the negative x. Okay, and then I ran out of space, so I'm going up. What's e to the x times e to the negative x? What's the rule when I have exponents like that? Atom. Well, what's x minus x? 0. I have e to the 0. 1. So on top, I just have 2 times 2, which is 4. So final answer up here, 4 over e to the x plus e to the negative x quantity squared. Okay, so that was quite a mouthful for that one. All right, folks, I'm almost done. It's barely 5 o'clock. So I think I did all the evens, 11.2. I just have a word problem, 43 and 44, and that'll be finished. Let me do my focusing thing. Okay, so I'll be done in a few minutes. So if you have any questions in preparation for the test, you can start having them ready. Or if you want to start typing them in the chat right now, you can. I'll be done in just a little moment. And if not, we can just go straight to the quiz and finish early. There's all that. There's all that. 30. All this stuff on the bottom here. And that. Okay. All right, last one I have is 44. A word problem. Show it to you. And I'm sure 43 is very similar. Future value. The future value that accrues, blah, 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 blah. S of t is 700 e to the 0.09 t. That's essentially what you want. So S is future value. Time is in years. Hey, at what rate is the money in this account growing when t equals 4? At what rate is the money in the account growing? Derivative, plug in 4. B, derivative, plug in 10. That's very easy. Okay, so knock that off right here quickly. So S of t was 700 e to the 0.09 t. What is the derivative? S prime, 700 e to the 0.09 t times the derivative of 0.09 t, which is 0.09. 700 times 0.09 is 63. So the derivative is 63 e to the 0.09 t. Okay, let's read that quickly. 700 times 0.09, 63. All right. So A, at what rate is the money changing when t is 4? Plug in 4. B, at what rate is it growing when t is 10? Plug in 10. So plug in 4. S prime of 4 is 63 e to the 0.094. 0.09 times 4 is 0.36. Okay, and it's roughly $9,030. I'll go ahead and show you that. So 63, almost all calculators, e to the x is above the ln x. So second function, e to the x, right? So second, e to the x, 0.36. 63 e to the 0.36. $90.30 rounded off. Should be a decimal point there. So 90.299 to the nearest penny is $90.30. And a reminder for those of you, when you hit the exponential, it might show up with a left paren. So does your calculator automatically give you that left paren? Then you should close it with a right paren. right? That means you go like that. Okay, finally B, and then I'm done. S prime of 10, plug in 10. So 63 e to the 0.09 times 10. 0.09 times 10 is 0.9, $154.95. 63 e to the 0.9. 154.954. So round to the nearest penny, 154.95. As you can see there, hopefully. Okay. I'm done, folks. So let me do the focus thing. Okay, so it's only a little bit past 5. Okay, I will let you ask questions now, but if you don't, we'll go straight to the quiz and we're done. So let me check the chat. Okay, so bear with me as I do something for the chat there. Okay, Jerson, I got you. Okay, check the chat. Okay, so anybody else have a question, please? Otherwise, we'll go straight to the quiz. Let's see, Kyle, I got you. Hugo, then. All right, so that's it, folks. So go right to the quiz. Everybody get your cell phones out or be ready to do a screenshot. We're going to end real early today. Okay, and as soon as we end, you can start submitting your homework. So Tuesday, I'll let you ask questions, but that's sort of what tonight was supposed to be for. If you ask questions tonight, then we wouldn't have to worry about it. But that's okay. I know some of you weren't prepared for the questions, right? And so when we start on Tuesday, question and answer up until 6. But if there aren't any questions, we can start earlier and go straight to the test. Okay. All right. So here we go for the quiz. Okay. Find the following derivatives. Number 1, f of x equals ln x squared plus 1. Number 2, y equals e to the 3x minus 10. Number 3, f of x equals e to the x ln x. Okay, I'll hold it for maybe another 15 seconds. Number 1, f of x equals natural log x squared plus 1. Number 2, y equals e to the 3x minus 10. And number 3, f of x equals e to the x ln x. Okay, number 1 looks like a chain rule. Number 2 looks like a chain rule. Number 3 looks like a product rule. And hopefully they're not too bad. Okay, I will now assume that everybody has it. So I'll make this disappear. I'll stop sharing. And